Hello again, fellow beach bum traders. Wanted to share with you some due diligence on the ticker symbol BUD, Anheuser-Busch InBev, which is owned by the InBev AB company out of Belgium. BUD popped up on one of our recent queries of stocks that we regularly watch as nearing or breaking down below support. So I wanted to do and share with you some updated due diligence on BUD. We've owned BUD in the past, made money on BUD in the past, and we wanted to see if we wanted to put BUD back on the watch list for next week. Here's also a good example of why you want to update your due diligence, do due diligence again, even on a stock that you may have owned and traded in the past. So I'm on the home page of finbiz.com. You can find our affiliate link for Finbiz in the description box below. And we can see that BUD has recently broken down below this 57.50-ish support level. And again, that's why it started popping up on our screeners. And we wanted to take a look and dig into BUD to see if it's a good time to buy near this support level. So again, we could see it's recently broken down below that support. So if I zoom out to the weekly chart, let me see how the chart looks and what does the chart pattern look like on the weekly. Well, again, we can see it's broken down below this 57.13, the previous low. It's got a bearish engulfing candle. Again, these are bearish signs so far. If I zoom out further to the monthly chart and look at the chart pattern there, looks like we've got a doji there, but again, it looks like a further breakdown. So right now, the chart patterns that I'm seeing on Finbiz are bearish, not a positive signal. We can see that the next low, the next potential support level on a monthly channel or chart is approximately 51.45. So if it continues to break down, we'll talk about in a minute that the next level of support we'd be looking at would be around 51.45. So next we'll dig a little bit deeper, but right now again the chart patterns that we're seeing on Finbiz look bearish. Doesn't look like we want to watch it right now. We may want to wait until it approaches this 51.45 level. Again, on finbiz.home, let's just look at a few of the other stats and facts about Anheuser-Busch InBev, BUD. Some of the things we can see is they do make money. They have positive sales, positive income. It also pays a small dividend, which is one of the reasons we're attracted to BUD, is it at least does pay a small dividend. We can see it does have some high debt issues, a little bit of a concern there. And otherwise, we see sentiments neutral, not real positive. So those are the metrics. We see it's had poor performance, which we can kind of see from what we were seeing in the graph. This year, it's performed poorly. Obviously, the pandemic has had a major impact on any kind of beer, alcohol, due to closures of restaurants, sports arenas, etc. So we can scroll down and we see some news. Another nice thing about Finbiz, we can see very positive or very negative news pop up because of these negative red or positive green symbols that pop up next to news. We say, okay, they apparently the market was not real happy with their July earnings. And then we can look at their income statements at the bottom. We could see, okay, EPS is kind of up and down. Total revenue has been down, up and down. If we look at quarterlies, similarly, EPS kind of up and down. Total revenue looks like it might be trending up. That may be good. Cost of revenue is going up, though. Okay, so some of the headwinds and tailwinds that we'll talk about in a minute as to why this may be the case and what does that mean going forward for Bud. Do we want to watch it? Again, very neutral in terms of the metrics and data that we're seeing here in FinViz. Another thing I wanted to point out while we're on the chart in FinViz for Bud is its choppiness. You can see how Bud tends to chop around, it bounces up and down, and if we look in the metrics at its ATR, which is the average true range, which is the range that a stock moves in a given day, we can see its range is about $1. So that tells us that Bud jumps around approximately $1 in a daily basis, and we can kind of see that choppiness. And the point I wanted to make here is if you do buy Bud, you want to put and you're going to use a hard stop, an actual stop order. You want to take into account this dollar ATR, and you want to put your stop at least $1 below the support price or the price that it's currently running for your stop, because otherwise it's going to bounce around and chop into your stop, and then it may bounce right back up. We've gotten stopped out because of that choppiness in Bud before, and then it would bounce down, hit the stop, and then bounce right back up, as you can kind of see some examples of that. So just another point to know about Bud is it's choppy. If you do go long Bud, you want to have a wide stop above or at a level where you actually want to sell, so that your stop doesn't just get hit due to the choppiness and then it continues to go up. So I hope that helps. So now let's dig a little bit deeper into Bud and see what may be the explanation for some of its decline, and see if the sentiment is positive or negative, any tailwinds, headwinds that might tell us which direction it may head in the near future, and see if that's something that we want to consider watching or right now or for a future buy. So we go down and we look at some of the analysis and some of the recent news. We can see, it got put on hold, so that's kind of a negative rating. It's not a sell, but it's not a positive buy either. Somebody's saying it's an opportunity that may be positive. We also see this article that says Ultra is expected to strategically divest, so that may be a negative catalyst. If Ultra divests, again, maybe a negative catalyst. One of the headwinds or reasons for the recent decline in Bud, I believe, is some of the other beverage companies have reported poorer than expected sales of the hard seltzer, which AB InBev also and Bud sells a number of hard seltzer flavors, and so people are probably expecting that their earnings due to hard seltzer are also going to be negative. So we can kind of see there's some headwinds somewhere in here as well. There's a discussion over raw material costs, so inflation is hitting them. The increases in costs of some of the materials are going to increase their costs. If they can't pass along those costs to the consumer, then obviously that's going to negatively impact their earnings. I don't offhand see anything about supply chain. Again, this this analysis is being done as of October 2nd of 2021, so we could still have supply chain issues. We have higher than expected inflation. So those are all are headwinds to Bud and negative pressures on Bud. On the other hand, we have a recovery. We have sports, football seasons starting up. We have arenas opening, restaurants opening. So those are tailwinds. So those are positive pressures on Bud. So we can see it has both positive and negative pressures right now. So the question is which one's going to overcome? Ratings are bullish to neutral. Value, growth, profitability. Profitability is very positive. Growth, neutral to positive. Value, neutral to positive, but not strongly positive. Revenue growth, kind of flat. Expected a little bit up, but mostly flat. Earnings, again, kind of flat. Maybe a little down. Valuation, profitability, dividend growth has been negative lately. Ownership, a mixture, not heavily institutional ownership. It would be nice to see a more institutional ownership, because again, the institutions tend to hold stocks longer. Free cash flow is positive, that's good. EPS is positive, that's good. And we'll get to the Altman Z-score, again, something I typically look at. Again, it says, yeah, it's positive. They're not at risk. Even though we saw in FinBiz that they have high debt, this Altman Z-score is telling us that they're not at risk of bankruptcy or going under or having to dilute because of cash flow anytime soon. We see they have a positive beta, and we also saw in FinBiz that they have a pretty high positive beta, so it's going to go up and down as the market index goes up and down. So now we'll look in more detail in Webull at Bud and make our final decision as to whether this is something we want to watch right now, buy in the future, or what. So here's an example of how you can do some of your due diligence using Webull. I'm in the Stocks tab of Webull in the browser version. And again, as always, you can find our affiliate link in the description box below to get 2 or more free stocks from Webull. Again, I'm on the stock screen, and if you want to see the stocks view of a symbol, you just enter the symbol in the search bar above and select it or hit enter. I already had Bud pulled up so that we could quickly see it for this video, and I'm trying to do some updated due diligence on Bud to see if that's something that we want to watch for buy for this week, in the future, etc. And I've currently selected the 5-day range, and we can see that Bud recently broke down through a support level. We saw on FinViz that there was a support level somewhere around this 57.50 level on a longer term chart. And we see it broke down, it hit this support level and kind of bounced back. So the question is, does that make Bud a good buy right now? Since it just bounced off that support, is it going to turn up for a good long, or is it going to break down further? So if we zoom out to a year, we can see it's making lower highs and lower lows. So again, this is all a bearish symbol or signal. And one of the nice things about FinViz is by using the pivot points indicator, we can kind of see this stair stepping down of the support and resistance and pivot levels. So again, that looks very bearish from a longer term view. You can also see we've lowered our price target down to this next support level, which is this 51.45 level on the yearly view, which we also saw in the monthly chart on FinViz. So we'll talk about our decision in a minute, but you can see we've lowered our buy price target to 51.45 right now. Another benefit of FinViz is this lower tab. We can see we can do some further due diligence If we push the arrows up so we can see the details of this tab, it has a number of tabs within that pane. You can see recent news. I wanted to look at just the financials trends. We can kind of see actual versus estimated financials very quickly. And we can see, okay, recently it has underperformed the estimates. So again, that's a negative. In an income basis, we can look at cash flow. Cash flow is okay, balance sheet okay, but income has underperformed. We can also see a very nice view of the analyst recommendations, and we can say, okay, based on 5 analysts, it's got currently a buy rating. We can see an average price target of 75, high of 92, low 57. It's currently trading 56-ish range. So the analyst ratings is positive, but some of the other indicators are not as positive. So again, and if you want to see current news, there's that hold article, downgrade, etc. So again, negative indicators there. So what's our conclusion? What should we do with Bud? Should we watch it for a buy for this week, or should we put it on a longer term watch list? We're going to not put it on the watch list for this week as of the beginning of October because of this continued breakdown. We saw downtrends in FinBiz on the weekly and monthly charts, and we're going to lower our price target to buy to 51.45. Now, on a shorter term time frame, if Bud were to happen to break through this pivot point and start trending up, then yes, we would have a tendency to go long on Bud if it does break out and start trending up. But the longer term trend seems to be down. Again, we're not going to put it on a real-time watch list for this week. We do have it on a secondary watch list for a longer term, and we'll be looking for it to approach that 51.45 level, at which time we'll do an updated due diligence on Bud and see if anything has changed. Does it warrant a consideration for the watch list or for a buy at that time? So again, I think Bud is a good example of why you want to update your due diligence when something does look like, hey, it's approaching its 52-week low or approaching a support level, looks like a good buy. Before you pull the trigger for a longer-term investment or a longer-term trade, definitely do your updated due diligence as we've shown in this video. And we hope this all helps. We hope that you like this video. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future videos like this. And let us know what other stocks you would like us to do this kind of due diligence on, or any other videos. We hope this all helps. Good luck. Have a great trading week.